Hello and welcome. Thank you so much. You have joined us today for Beautiful Literature with me, Teacher Martha. I am so glad that we have carried on. We are carrying on with the Samaritan. And if you're joining us for the first time, please know that you have missed out quite a bit. Check us up on the other videos that we have done on the Samaritan, on the Fathers of Nation, on the Parliament of Alls. You will find them very helpful, even as we watch this one. And so in today's video, we are going to look at Act 1, Scene 2 on the Samaritan, okay? So Act 1, we finished with Scene 1, now we are looking at Scene 2. And when we were talking about Scene 1, just a recap, we left when there was a meeting at the hall, the dining hall of Sagrada Secondary School, and Mayor Mosi and his people had a meeting with Madame Narine and Madame Nicole, and there was a meeting even with the students. And the app was introduced to them, and Mayor Mosi did not like that app at all. And the last time we were leaving, he was threatening them and telling them, you must be able to stop that app. You must recall it. As much as he had been informed that that cannot happen because the app is already out of our hands. It's already with the Ministry of Education. The government, the national government is already handling it. So it's out of our hands. And by the time we are finishing with Scene 1, it's already, the environment is very hostile, and the last instruction they were given is that I want a copy of a letter that you've written to the Ministry of Education and recall that app and tell them there's something very wrong with that app and it needs to be relooked into, it needs to be, done something about it. And Madame Nicole says, she didn't say I should not write the letter or write or not write. She said, I will do what is right. I think I like that girl already. Now, we go into Scene 2, and Scene 2 opens in a very interesting way, because there is a meeting that is going on in the Maracas Municipal headquarters in the mayor's boardroom. Mayor Mosi is having a meeting, and there's a description about his office, and you can see how it's spacious, this rectangular shaped room with a large pine oval table with a high black, office chairs and so on. But of interest to me are the people who are attending this meeting. And this is important for us to just take a minute and have a look at them, because they will define the storyline, and the things they do this will give us a guideline of the kind of people they are. So even as we go into this scene, I want us to just take a minute and have a look at them. One of the people who in this meeting, apart from Mayor Mosi, is the municipal CEO. You remember we talked about him. He was in the other meeting in the secondary school. That is Mr. Harvester. We also have a judge. He's called Justice Ian Jaden. So that is the principal judge. In the court, we have Justice Jaden, then who is always neatly dressed in a 3-piece suit. You need to note that. There is also the Municipal Inspector General of Police. He's called Inspector Bembe. Okay? It's B-E-M-B-E. There is no M. It's not Bembe. It is Bembe. Okay, this is the Inspector of Police, and he's described as a pot-bellied man in his late 50s, dressed in full official uniform, complete with the police beret and a scepter. Okay, that is Inspector Bembe. Then there is another person who is also very, very important, is Honorable Ted. Honorable Ted. You will meet Honorable Ted at some point. Honorable Ted is this young man. He's the secretary of the Department of Health and Environment, who is always donning a fade haircut. I'm sure you understand about fade haircut, because most of you like to wear fade style, and wearing his trademark ripped jeans. This is a member of a senior government official, and coupled with all manner of bling. I don't know whether you know of a politician who dresses like that. With a haircut, wearing ripped jeans, and all manner of blings all over him. I'm sure you understand that. Honorable Ted. Don't forget Honorable Ted. You will need him at some point. The other person is Honorable Simo. Okay, this is a secretary of the Planning and Development. What does he do? He is wearing a goatee and usually dressed in a smart broken suit. That is Honorable Simol. He's a secretary of the Department of Planning and Development. And he has large dark glasses. And finally, we also have another person that is Deputy Mayor. That is Honorable Ramdai. Always clad in kuta design where, and the last to enter was the mayor himself, followed by his bodyguard. So we have quite a number of people in this meeting, and you can see it is the high and the mighty of the municipality. He didn't call the cleaners and the people who were down there. He's actually called the top officials, the kitchen cabinet, so to speak. And the meeting begins on a very official note, and Mosi is not very happy. He starts off by telling them that asking them, have anyone read the newspapers? Have you seen what is in the newspapers? They say, yeah. He says, yes, I asked Harvester to buy all of them from the vendors as early as possible. Can you imagine? Imagine one day you go to the streets to buy newspapers, and then you realize there are no newspapers on the streets. Why? Because there's someone who bought all of them. So that means, like, for example, you go to your town where the newspapers are sold, or the supermarket, or the chemists where they sell, or the bookstores where they sell newspapers. Can you imagine the effort of going to every place where they're selling newspapers and you're supposed to buy all of them? The question is, whose money are you using to buy this newspaper? And why would you buy them? Do you know why they are buying them? Because there is some information that is in that newspaper, in those newspapers, and that information he wants to hide that information. And then the question I ask myself, will you be buying newspapers every day? How long will you buy newspapers? You have bought all the newspapers today, well and good. People have not read the information, but don't you think tomorrow they will also, if tomorrow they print another information, will you also buy your newspapers for tomorrow? So that is how Act 2 begins, with a very funny way of responding to issues. And remember, in Scene 1, he was very busy saying about the many people who elected him, and he has a very divine responsibility and mandate of taking care of the people who have put him in office. Now, this is how he's taking care of them. And then Mosi says, Simo is asking, why did you have to do that? Then Mosi says, it was our best interest. And then he picks papers before him. He says, the Caribbean Watch, it says, it read, Municipal Leadership, a criminal enterprise. The Sentinel read, Municipal Leaders Stripped Naked. The Insight, the headlines read, Rot in Maracas Municipal Council Exposed. The Spotlight read, Municipal Leaders Face Imprisonment. As you can see, the focus is on us, municipal leaders. And these stories under these headlines are extremely damaging. These are the kind of headlines that we have been getting every day for the last 1 month. Now, since the app was launched, has started off, this is what has been happening. And Mayor feels, I need to handle this. And his best way of handling it is by buying the newspapers. And in this meeting, they want to ask themselves, what can we do about this? And I don't want to go into the details of what happened, but what I find very amusing is how some of them are really very ignorant and illiterate, very, very illiterate. And actually he confesses, like Mayor Mosi confesses on page 23, he says, I must confess, these internet things are a little bit out of my depth. I believe Harvester can explain that. They're trying to explain to them what the app is about because they don't even know much about the app. And they explain, and so the Harvester is the one who explains. The Samaritan is a mobile application, blah, blah. He explains to them. And then Mayor Mosi says, the app is the source of all the damaging revelations we have finding every day in our daily newspapers. And so the conversation is going on what information is in that app, and they're sharing that information. It is important for us to look at page 24 and 25 and see what information people are posting on the app, because that will help us, will set the pace for their responses as time goes on. And on page 24, we can see Simo says, because of this information that is coming in, what do we need to do? Simo says, what you need to do is to obtain some cash. Identify those those most active in posting information and pay them to stop it. That is all. Now, can you imagine that is a solution by a leader? That he says that, for me, I think what would work for us, let's pay these people. Those who are posting information, can we pay them? Then Harvester says that may not be possible. The last time I checked, the app had almost 500,000 downloads and still counting. That means there are about 500,000 people using the app. We cannot negotiate with that large, huge number of people. So you see, Simo does not understand, by this app, it's not even someone who is in a certain place or in a certain house, you'll go and bribe him. him. These people are everywhere. They are doing this in the comfort of their homes, and their identity is anonymous. The only person who can be able to see, who sent this information is the admin on the other side. But you, as the consumer, you cannot tell. So they don't even know who is sending this information. And so he's told that is not going to work. And on the end of that, someone else is having very important solution. He says, Moses says, okay, Bembe says, Moses says, well, the latest sensation is the public outcry over the companies that bill the municipal council huge sums of money every month without rendering any service. That is supplying air. Details of payment to the companies involved have now been unearthed. They were first divulged out on that evil thing, and they found their way to all the newspapers. Now, this is how we learn the things that are going on, the rot that is going on in the municipality, and what the app has been able to bring to the light. And he says that actually the things that we've been doing here, that is supplying air, can you imagine? Those things are still happening out there, that some people are being paid for not supplying anything. That information, including all the paperwork, was uploaded in the app, and now it's already found its way in the newspapers. And so we realize that Mayor Mosi is not happy about how true some of this information is, and it's already out there. And even the others are starting to wonder, is it that serious? What are we supposed to do? And you can see Simor is suddenly very unhappy, springing to his feet with clenched fists. That cannot be possible. Nobody can write that kind of thing about me in this world, because of course his name was mentioned, him and Ted. And Harvester says copies of undisputable documentary evidence on that effect were all over today's newspapers. Now, I want you to just take some time and just look at the things that these people had been accused of, and those things are true. If you look at their responses, they have been doing very crazy things, and even by how they are responding, we know that they are guilty. Ted at some point says that supply of air, I'm beginning to think this is serious. Could we end up in Baneta Express prison? This young man now is starting to think, I think we can end up in prison. It means they are admitting that they are guilty. And of course, the harvester keeps on is the one who is bringing more information on them, and he says, but that is the only one. That is not that. But that is only one of the allegations. There are many more, including drug trafficking, grabbing of public land, inflation of cost municipal projects, use of proxies to secure municipal tenders, undertaking shoddy public works, murder and gang. So many things. All those things have been brought up in the app. I would want you to take a minute and just go through that and ask yourself, do we see those things happening in our country? Are we also suffering from those things? If you read that part, in fact, it will show you where all this, the evils that these people are doing. And it's actually been started very well. And there's a lot of personal information on municipal leaders and on that evil thing too. And you see Mosi is keeping on referring to it as a thing. And now he's added it's an evil thing. Including lifestyles of individual municipal councils, where they live, kind of houses they live in, and so on. So if you look at that, this meeting is actually just to bring to us the things that are found in the app. Remember in the earlier, we didn't know what is found in the app. We know it's damning information. But now in this meeting is when we are, the playwright gives us the details of the rot that is going on in Maracas municipality. If this conversation didn't happen, we wouldn't have actually known who is guilty of doing what. Now, with all this, we know that these leaders are evil. Actually, it is true. They are guilty of supplying air, of gangs and rebel groups, of militia formings, of drugs trafficking, of corruption and tendering and being paid for services not done, and so on. And there is need for legal action. They get to a point where they're asking, do we need to get our lawyers? Because what if legal action is taken against us, what will we do? And this Justice Jordan is here. He says this: if legal action is taken, if you're taken to court and those people provide information and provide documents to support what they are saying, then you're guilty. Action will be taken. And of course, at this point, Bembe is coming up with a solution. Can you listen to him? He says, I think we have no choice other than ban that thing within Maracas municipality. The municipal council needs to pass a bylaw to that effect urgently. I will enforce it immediately. For Bembe, everything has to be done with aggression. Everything has to be done by force. Now, when he realizes that actually we actually may end up being prosecuted and actually be jailed because of the things that are in that thing, Bembe says, no, I think we need to stop this. We'll do a gazette, we'll do a bylaw, and we will let people know it is illegal to use that app. And Jaden says, I think that strategy may not work, because actually when you forbid people from using something is when they are curious to know about it. In fact, that is even just our Kenyan situation. When you tell people not to go to this supermarket because this and this is found there, that is where people will want to go. When you paint a wall and tell people do not touch wet paint, that is where people find the need to touch. If you left it without writing wet paint, do not touch, people will not even bother with it. And so the judge is saying this is not a good move. When you try to stop the app, actually it will generate more interest. And Small has so much to offer also, that we actually can claim that information is not true. They stole information, they stole documents, and it's blackmailing. And you can see how confused they are about how to respond. I would want you to just take a minute and have a look at various responses they have, and some of them are very funny. Mosi at some point says, we must do it. That is banning the app. Information is power, and if we can't control it, it will be trouble after a while. My friend also mentioned the idea of getting computer experts to mess up the Samaritan. And of course, that's another option they have. But of course, they are also told that will be a criminal activity, especially in the absence of legal framework supporting such course of action. Jaden is bringing some sense of legal side of whatever the decisions they are making, and saying some of these things you may not even be able to do. And when they give another option, Jaden is always there to support, to tell them, when you do this, please know there are repercussions. Now, what is very funny, I would want you to look, it's on page 29. And page 29, Jaden wants, Ted on page 29 tells, Ted tells Jaden, looking at Justice Jaden, we are in this together. You can always figure out a way and the appropriate language for defending such a course of action. So they actually want Jaden to, when they go to court, he will be with them. He will support them and make sure that the cases don't go. And Jaden says, together? What do you mean we are in this together? In supplying air to the municipal council? I am not corrupt. I am not all those things you're talking about. And Mosi says, we all have skeletons in our closets, your lordship. I mean, here and there, we must work together. And Jaden says, what do you mean by skeletons? And he says, are you saying you have no skeletons at all? He says, the issue is not if I have skeletons or not. Listen to what Jaden says, very wise. The issue is not that I have skeletons or not. In fact, as you can see, I am not a reptile. That means I'm a carnivore. So I can eat meat. So that means they are skeletons. But you see, quite so often in life, what matters, listen to that, what matters is not what you do, but how you do it. Okay? You can fly into a forbidden territory and still get away with it, provided you do it below the radar. That is the judge speaking. And he says, you people, you are the ones who've been implicated in this thing. Me, I'm not there. Don't even try. We are not together because I'm not there. And then they're asking, are you trying to tell us that you are very holy, that you are so right, you don't have issues? He says, that is not the issue, that I don't have issues. It is true, I have issues, but how I did it was so well. So below, nobody can actually detect me. So you people are the ones who are not very wise. You went doing things and everybody got to know. So for me, I have skeletons, I agree, but I've not been caught. And therefore, we are not together. Don't try to drag my name into that. And I think that is a very funny way of looking at it as a leader. And therefore, let's move on and see how that discussion goes. And Jaden says that I will pronounce myself on this matter, and when I am directly confronted on or cases that are brought to my attention in court. And he actually walks out and says, you cannot have careless and reckless skeletons all over the place and expect me to help you clean up the mess. That is Jaden speaking. I want you to note that because later on we will come back to talk about that. And he says, Me, I am off. You clean up your messes. I am not with you. You can imagine how that makes them feel. They feel very bad. And now they are left thinking, what else can we do now that we don't have the judge with us? We know the court will put us into trouble. What do we do? And there is a lot of back and forth going on. They are trying to come up with solutions. And they are wondering, can we, in fact, can you, on page 31, he says, yes, the information is what Moses, Ramda is asking, where is this information stored? I mean, the information being shared on the Samaritan. Moses says, you seem to understand these things. He's asking Harvester to explain. Mayor Moses does not understand these things at all. Then he says, Harvester says, yes, the information is what is in what they are called servers and available in the internet. And then Ramda says, that's my point. We just get the information out of there. Moses, then he asks, where is the internet and how do you get there? Can you imagine that kind of a question? That he's wondering, could there be internet? Could it be in somebody's office? Now that information is in the internet. That internet, where can we get that internet so that we can get the information? If we get the information from that internet, then we are good to go. And it shows illiteracy, how technology for some people are just so off. And as you look at the themes, you look at the technology, the place of technology in the society and so on. And now they realize we can't do anything about that internet. And now they have to come up with solutions. And the remaining part of the text is showing the solutions they were coming up with. And they were saying that maybe we need to look for money for us to get our way out of this. And they agree that we need to raise some money. But they all say, I have no money. With me, I have loans, I have no money, I'm not able to have any money to spare. And you know what is very funny? Is that these people are being accused of corruption. They have done big corruption. That's why they're having this conversation. But imagine they have no money. So you are rich, but then you are so broke. I mean, it's all vanity of vanity. So we are here accusing you of corrupt deals that you've had, but really you have no money in your hands, because money that you've acquired on evil ways, you will actually not be able to, it will not take you very far. And of course, at some point now, page 32, a harvester comes up with a very good solution and says, we probably need to give people an opportunity to confess their sins. If we can't capture this thing, if we can't get that information out, then what if we try the godly way and have people coming out to just, they're calling it the restitution. Come and confess your sins and say, this is what I did, this is what I did, I ask to be forgiven. And Simol says, I cannot expose myself. Isn't a restitution admission of guilt? How can I incriminate myself? In any case, what if you're accused of crimes other than acquiring wealth irregularly? So he says, count me out. I'm not going to confess anything in that to the public. And now they are coming up with another solution, that what we need is money, but we don't have money. So what are we supposed to do? Miyamosi, you know where money is. We would want you to come up with a way of helping us to acquire money. And one of it is that now they come up with a very good solution. And that is where the trouble begins. It is important for us to know where did the conflict, because later on in the text, this text is marred with so much conflict between the mayor and his people, this group of people. And so we need to ask ourselves, where did this conflict begin? Where did they part ways? And on page 33, that is where we are. You see, the waste disposal system in our town is in a terrible state. There is garbage all over the place. Listen to that. And remember that discussion we had with the skit of Alvita and Montano in the hall? This is actually a reflection of where we are as a municipality. There is garbage all over the place. The drains are broken. As we speak, it is a serious health hazard. We can justify reallocation of funds on the need to address this problem. In reality, we will use some of the funds to fight off the cases that are without a doubt coming. Can you imagine this kind of leaders? Already they can admit there is a problem. Our sewage system, our drainage is horrible, our garbage is horrible. As it is, it's a crisis. Now, why don't we reallocate money from our kitty, from the kitty of the municipality, and then instead of going to clear that mess, why don't we take that money and use it to clear our cases? Now, what kind of leaders are those? And Mayor Mosi at that point decides, oh no, those things you're trying to do, I will not be found in it, because now you're even making my life even more difficult. And I want you to look at the discussion that is going on between page 33 and going on all the way to page 35. Those people, by the time they were parting ways, Mayor Mosi has stood his ground I said, I am not going to do that. Over my dead body. What you are suggesting is illegal. The law is very clear. A municipal council cannot spend any money at any time of the financial year except as provided in the national estimates and as contained in Appropriation Act approved by Parliament. And it's ironical that suddenly he's a saint. Suddenly he doesn't want illegal deeds, but he's already done very many things. And then Ted is asking, you'd rather be prosecuted and imprisoned? And I want you at your own time to read that discussion between page 34 and 35. And that is where the problem begins. That is where these people have issues, because Mayor Mosi has refused. We are not borrowing money. We are not taking money to in the name of clearing the garbage. And then you are misusing it. We will have to make sure that that money goes into the right thing. And if it's coming to sort out your cases, we are not doing any supplementary estimate expenditure on that. And of course, he threatens them. He tells them, if you're not careful, I will have you arrested and prosecuted. I can make a real smoke. I can strike harder than thunder. And of course, Simol says, standing up and charging towards the mayor. They're even almost getting physical. But you will either approve a supplementary estimate or we will hold you out of office. Now, this is where their problems begin. And then Ted tells them, we helped you to get elected. Now you cannot, and we can get rid of you. Threats are going on. They started the meeting very well. When it is ending, they are not at peace. And Ramdai is the person who is trying to be very nice, and he says, gentlemen, I think we can find some common ground. We must find money to protect ourselves, but we must also not make matters worse than they already are. And Mosi, I'd want to conclude this part by reading that part for Mosi. He says, you senseless thieves, he's pointing at Ted and Simo, you were elected just the other day, as poor and jigger-infested hoodlums. Now you are living like kings in grandiose villas and mansions, indulging in delicacies and classy hotels, and driving state-of-art cars. How can you justify your current status? Who doesn't know you have stolen money? Did you ever think that you will get away with it? Simol says, we will see if you can get away with it. We will mobilize the members of the council chamber against you. Now, it is threat after threat. And Ted says, and you will ultimately take responsibility for the rot in the municipality. There is no way you can deliver us into prison. Ladies and gentlemen, that is how Act 2 ends. And let's see, finally, scene 3 of Act 1, how it goes down. Thank you very much for watching. Remember to subscribe and to share with your friends. I will appreciate that. So thank you and see you in the next one.